There are so many secrets in Black Myth Wukong. This game's full of stuff that you might not know you can do, so we thought we'd get a little loose-lipped about some of the stuff they didn't tell you is possible. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, Black Myth Wukong, 10 things you didn't know you could do. A little bit of note and a spoiler warning before we get going. First off, this is not an extensive list. It is far from comprehensive. We aren't in the business of long-format video essays. We aim to be informative, but not extremely long. So what we're going to do here is hit up what we thought the most interesting stuff was. Second half of this is, like I said, a spoiler warning. This is all spoilers. And this game is pretty new, so we're going to do the list in chronological order, starting with stuff from Chapter 2, and we're going all the way to Chapter 6. I'll mention which chapter we're talking about for each entry, so if you haven't gotten that far and don't want to be spoiled on stuff like bosses and secret locations, you know what to do. All that out of the way, let's get going with number 10. Finding 6 Buddha's eyeballs to face off against a hidden enemy in Chapter 2. In Chapter 2, as you're wandering around the desert, you're probably going to notice these Buddha statue heads lying around that are glowing. If you approach one and interact with it, you'll get a special key item, the Buddha's eyeball. There's no indication what these things are for specifically, but if you collect 6 of them, you can actually unlock something pretty cool, a secret boss fight, which is awesome. I'm not going to say where all the heads are because a lot of them appear along the main path and are pretty easy to find, and a few of them are a little tough to hunt down. There's one on the wooden structure near the Squall Hideout Keeper's Shrine, and another past the Mother of Stone boss fight, and you can find that by following a cave tunnel up near the Rockrest Flat Shrine. Okay, so you got 6 eyeballs. What do you do with them besides put them into a bucket and have kids feel them at Halloween and tell them they're real eyeballs and they don't believe it because they know the trick, and then you show them they're real eyeballs? That would get them good. Stupid kids think they know everything. You can't really do that. But what do you actually do with them? There's nothing that actually tells you to do this, but what you're supposed to do is go up to this pile of rocks in the arena where you fought the Stone Vanguard boss. If you got all the eyes, you're able to interact with it, which will cause it to burst to life. This guy's called the Shigandang, and while he's not the toughest boss in the world, he's a pretty unique fight. The kind of fight that'll make you go, Gondang! I am so sorry to the Chinese people. But anyway, beating him gets you one Skanda key, and that's part of a game-spanning side quest that we'll get into much more detail later. Number 9 is fighting a mad tiger in Chapter 2. The previous guy was obscure, but this is somehow even more hidden. What's tricky about finding this particular boss is he's not connected to any major side quests. He's not part of a secret area or anything. He's just hidden somewhere, and you have to do something that's not obvious at all to find him. The first thing to do if you want to find this guy is fight the tiger's acolyte boss on the big stone bridge near the end of Chapter 2. When you beat him, you get this key item called the Old Rattle Drum. The description doesn't help at all, but the acolyte goes on about his son, blah, 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 endlessly, his son. We get it, acolyte, we get it. And mysteriously, in a few areas, you can hear a ghostly voice. No doubt, your clue for what you have to do with the Old Rattle Drum. You have to go to 3 separate locations spanning all of Chapter 2 and use the drum in 3 spots. Your only clue that you can do something to these places is the ghostly voice, and even still, that's pretty vague.
I'm here, little monkey. Let me hear my rattle drum.
Does it have something to do with the acolyte's son? Was he rambling all that time for a good reason? Regardless, you have to do them in order, so it's even more of a pain. But just to make it easier, I'll say where they are. First is in the Windrest Hamlet, to the left past the large gate. The second is past the big stone door where you fought the second Rat Prince boss. And the last is in the Sandgate Village near a well. Use the drum in all 3 of these spots, and at the last one, the ghostly little boy will beckon you to jump in the well. So, yeah, the ghostly voice was related to the acolyte. I mean, I knew already, but now you do, if you haven't played the game. At the bottom of the well, you'll find the Mad Tiger, and this guy is no joke. He is very aggressive. His attacks are highly damaging. He is a formidable enemy, and I wouldn't blame you for just moving on to Chapter 3 before coming back to take this guy on for real, because he's super tough. And number 8 is entering the Painted World in Chapter 3. Did you know this game has a hub area? Yeah, Wukong has its own version of the Round Table Hold, but getting there is going to take a while. You can't actually reach this place until around halfway through Chapter 3, and then you only get there by completing a side quest, which is really easy to overlook. In order to reach this place, you have to find Qin Long in the Bitter Lake area of Chapter 3. He's in the water to the left of the giant turtle, and he's not too hard to miss. You encounter him as a boss, but when you beat him, he turns non-hostile, and you can talk to him. He'll start complaining about needing medicine because, man, all these guys, they're just big whiners. All want you to do something.
Shudong loves his medicinal arts. Given his nature, he's surely tending the furnace flames somewhere.
Ugh. But anyway, in order to get him medicine, because you want to help him, because you're a good monkey, you need to go back to Chapter 2 and talk to Zhudog. If you haven't gotten access to the medicine vendor Zhudog yet, then just go back to the village entrance checkpoint in Chapter 2 and look for him in the cave to the right of the bridge into town. He's kind of easy to miss in the shadows there, but all you need to do is talk to him and then find him again at the cellar checkpoint where he sets up shop. Talk to him and he'll give you Qin Long's medicine. Go back to Qin and he'll reward you with a scroll to access the Painted World, a hidden forest village where the zodiac deities gather. There you'll find the main vendors all in one convenient location. Qin will grow plants for you for medicine that you want to make, and the blacksmith can upgrade your armor. So this place is a pretty essential find, even though it's pretty easy to overlook if you're not trying to resolve every quest you find. There's even a secret boss, Yin Tiger, who's here. Just challenge the blacksmith when you talk to him.
Edge sharpened, arm restless. I was looking for someone to test it.
And number 7 is take on the 4 secret Long brothers in the first 4 chapters. There's 4 optional dragon bosses to take on in Wukong, each one hiding somewhere in the first 4 chapters. To take these guys on, you need one specific key item, the Long Scales, which have the power to reveal hidden passages behind waterfalls. This item isn't that hard to get. It's hidden behind a cracked wall in the arena where you fight the first Prince of the Flowing Sand in Chapter 2. With that item, you'll be able to find all 4 dragon bosses. The first is in Chapter 1. It's at the outside the forest checkpoint. You just find the waterfall there, remove it with the scales, and take on the Red Long, the most traditionally dragony of the 4 Longs, Rock Rest. The second brother is found in Chapter 2 near the Rock Rest Flat Shrine. Run up the stairs, find a waterfall made of sand, a sandfall, and remove it to reach the Black Long, who's pretty tough until you realize you don't have to dodge through his lightning drum shockwave attack. You can just jump on some rocks and wait it out. The third Long is in Chapter 3 at the Turtle Island area. Just look around, you'll find a dragon statue with a fishing rod, and it'll come to life when you approach it. The fourth and final Long is in Chapter 4 at the Relief of the Fallen Long area, and will only appear after you've beaten the other 3. He's tough and has some seriously damaging lightning attacks, but if you beat him, you'll get his transformation. The rewards are good, but let's be real, this is an action game, and a secret boss is kind of its own reward when they're good. I mean, if they suck, it's not really a reward at all, but these don't suck at all. And number 6 is reaching the Purple Cloud Mountain in Chapter 4. I already mentioned how to get the secret area of Chapter 2 back in the 10 Things the Game Doesn't Tell You video. It's pretty simple, so we'll skip that. and we'll go over to the next major secret area in the game, the Purple Cloud Mountain. This one is one of the biggest and best secrets in the whole game. It's got multiple boss fights, a lot of pretty sweet rewards. Getting here, not super difficult either if you know what you're looking for. So, getting to this place requires you to fight an optional boss called the Venom Taoist in Chapter 4. He first appears near the Pool of Shattered Jade Shrine. Just look for a small cave entrance covered in spider webs and full of webbed up attacks. At the end of the path is a big web sack. Attack it and the Venom Taoist will pop out and attack you.
You're here at last.
Beat him and he runs away. It'll be a while before you find him again. He doesn't show up until near the end of the entire chapter. Reach the Court of Illumination checkpoint, then turn around and run past the guards in the opposite direction you came. You find a mountain path. That goes up for a while. Near the end of the path is a cave, and that's where the Venom Taoist appears for a rematch. He's not that difficult, so just beat the tar out of him, and he'll open a way to the Purple Cloud Mountain, which, unlike the secret area of Chapter 2, is actually really big with a lot of stuff in it.
I meant to let you pass, but you chose to ruin my day! Now, face your doom.
And number 5 is summoning a secret worm in Chapter 4. There are a lot of spirit summons in Wukong, and most of them are pretty straightforward to unlock. You just fight an elite enemy and you're good. But getting the worm spirit is a little bit trickier. It's definitely worth your time to get it, though, because it is a powerful spirit that does a lot of damage and spreads poison goop pretty much everywhere, which that's pretty fun, right? Poison goop, you got enemies all over the place. They hit the poison goop. It's all good, man, all good. So to get it, you need to beat the Elder Armor Worm boss. This thing is optional, and it's found off of the main path if you progress along the main path past the Upper Hollow Shrine. It's in the area past the room with all the treasure chests. Kill it, and it'll drop the Proto Armor Worm key item. What do you do with that? Well, bring it back to the Painted World, Zodiac Village, and give it to Chen Long.
Go ahead. I can't spend all day chatting when there's work to be done.
When you come back, it'll appear in the garden. Now you have to give it an offering of 3 silk balls, which can be found by smashing web sacks on the grassy path leading up to the Cliffs of Oblivion Shrine. It's hard to miss. It's the long passage with all the worms on it. Get 3 of them, offer them to the proto worm. You have to do it 3 times, and then reset the area. When you return, the worm will be gone, and a spirit will be in its place. You collect the Elder Worm Spirit. Right there. Trust me, it's useful. Also fun. At number 4, you can completely nullify a boss's most devastating attack in Chapter 4. The final boss of Chapter 4 is the 100-eyed Taoist monster, and this guy is no joke.
Now you owe it to me!
His first form isn't too bad, but when he hits around half health, he'll trigger an ability where the entire area turns yellow, and then everything's full of eyes, and they all shoot lasers at you.
Today I will win my destiny, and yours too!
You can't use transformations while this power is in effect either. Just sucks all around. And it makes what would otherwise be a tolerable boss into something that's a lot worse. So make things easier for yourself and get this area's vessel. Getting it should be easy if you've been following along so far, because it's the reward for completing the secret area of Chapter 4. That means beating the 2-form boss of the Purple Cloud Mountain. It's not the easiest, but it's doable. and defeating it gives you the Weaver's Needle Vessel. It's unclear exactly what this thing does at first. It seems okay, summoning a needle that flies around and does small but continuous damage to enemies, but it's got a secret purpose. If you activate the needle during the boss, where the sky turns yellow, the needle will fly around and poke out all the eyes in the sky. The arena will turn back to normal, and you'll be able to transform again.
Drained of power. Where did you find a new one?
The relic doesn't stop him from switching to a new moveset, but getting rid of all the eyeballs makes the second half of the boss way easier. At number 3 is finding the secret entrance to Bishui Cave in Chapter 5. There's another secret area in Wukong that can be found in Chapter 5. The trick to finding it is you need to defeat the 7 elemental carts and progress the story of the Pale Axe Stalwart. Finding most of the elemental carts is pretty easy. 3 out of the 5 are just on the main path and can't be missed. There's one off the beaten path at the entrance to Furnace Valley, down where there's a lot of lava. It's already broken, and honestly, I'm not sure what exactly you need to do with that one. There's a cable you can pull that doesn't do anything unless you progress the Horse Guy quest. So it's possible that this card is already considered dead and you don't need to do anything, or you might need to pull the cable 3 times. Honestly, I'm not sure. The Horse Guy quest is kind of finicky now. The final elemental card is hiding at the entrance to the secret cave. The only way to gain access to this place is to progress down the main path until the Fox Girl clears out the flame barriers. This doesn't happen until the very end of the area, right before you can approach the Ox King. When all the flames are removed, you go back to the Ashen Path 2 checkpoint and go back to where you jumped into the Furnace Valley, but instead of falling down, you keep going down the path along the side of the mountain and you find the final element cart boss, which is the toughest one by far. For this to trigger, you also need to talk to the big bull guy, the Pale Axe Stalwart, in a few different locations. He initially appears in his boss arena in Ashen Pass 1, then he moves close to the cliff, the same place you leave and come back. Talk to him there, and he'll move to the Emerald Hall checkpoint, standing in the arena where you fought the Crimson Silver Cart. Then he finally moves to the secret entrance. If everything has been done correctly, it'll trigger a cutscene and the boss will appear. Take it out, talk to the Stalwart nearby, and you'll be able to approach the ice wall and break it, opening the way to this Chapter 5 secret area, which is full of, you guessed it, more bosses. Moving on to number 2, collect 5 Skandas and you can face a secret boss in Chapter 6. One of the first key items you get is this thing called the Skanda of Form. It's right near where you fight the Bullguard boss in Chapter 1. There's 5 of these in total. They're spread out through the entire game, but finding them is very much worth the effort. The second Skanda is found in Chapter 2. You get it by collecting the 5 Buddha eyes and fighting the secret boss I mentioned above. The third one of these things is further along in Chapter 3. You get to the checkpoint Mindfulness Cliff, you find a wooden walkway, and there's a fallen pillar underneath that you can fall down to. And if you progress down that path, then you'll find another one of these things. The next one we're looking for is in Chapter 4. After passing through the Purifying Spring, there's another one of these things hiding to the left in the Fetid Bog before you go up the long stairs. Collect all those, and you're ready to find the final Skanda, which is hidden in Chapter 6. Using the Somersault Cloud, you'll need to fly past the Stone Sun boss area and keep to the right until you find a narrow passage that leads to a huge rocky area. If you've got all the Skandas up to that point, then you'll be greeted by the giant Shingading boss, which is an absolutely enormous monster, but it's not as intimidating as it looks, and it has a hilarious name, Shingading. Defeat this thing, climb up its arm to confront the mandrill that's been appearing every time you find one of these things, and you get the 5th Skanda. With all 5 of them in hand, it's time to get your reward. Find Zhudog and give him these things to get the 5 Skandas pill, which gives you a pretty significant boost to multiple stats. Raises your health, your stamina, and your mana by like 25%, which is pretty huge and very helpful for the challenges ahead.
How astounding it is, the 5 Skandas about abstract notions. Yet you have made them tangible.
And finally, at number 1, seeing the true secret ending after beating the game. Yes, there is a secret ending, but this time, for once, you can't miss it. Rather than having to do something before you beat the game, like how it usually works in these things, in order to reach the true ending in Black Myth Wukong, you need to defeat the final boss. Then choose to continue back in the main menu. Do not start a new game plus. You do not want to do that yet. Instead, just continue where you left off. Now there are just 2 more things you need to do to unlock the actual ending. First, you need to defeat the 4 Longs, which I've already talked about pretty extensively, so finding them shouldn't be a big problem. And then you need to return to the Great Pagoda in Chapter 3, which you can find down a snowy path full of monk statues near the Snow-Veiled Trail Shrine, which ironically is harder to say than a lot of the other words. Snow-Veiled Trail. If you've taken care of the Longs and beaten the standard final boss, you just head inside the pagoda and run to the back of the room to trigger a cutscene, which opens the way to the real final boss and the true ending. If you manage to beat the normal final boss, then what's coming next should be possible. It's going to be difficult, but for whatever reason, it's a lot less BS somehow. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.